Right, folks. Well, today we got this here light switch what ain't switching. So it's like you got one job, light switch, and you're not doing your thing. It's kind of weird, actually. Let me know in the comments if you see any of these rocker switches that seem to get stuck where it won't toggle from off to on. I assume something plastic broke in there, but yeah, it's kind of squishy, but it won't change to on mode. So we're going to go ahead and get that out of there and replaced. So to start with, we'll get this outer panel off here. And typically they just kind of pressure fit when they're these rocker style. There's no screw in the middle that holds them on. If you can pull off the top, for instance, and then the bottom kind of hooks off there. And when you go to put these back on, typically that side there is what goes on the bottom. So you're not seeing that on the top side. One thing to think about too when you're going out and buying your replacement is you got to think about the color. And I think this here is the light almond flavor. And so, you know, if you go, don't be getting a white one that won't match your trim there. Now these are typically sold separately, so if you're changing to the rocker style from the old school light switch, make sure you pick up one of your trim pieces as well. Or if you are switching out to a white one, get you a new trim piece so everything matches and looks real nice. Aside from that, you know, make sure you get a switch that's rated for your circuit, your breaker down there. This is a 15 amp breaker, so I picked up a 15 amp switch. What you don't want to do is, if you have a 20 amp breaker, you wouldn't want to put a 15 amp switch in. You always want your breaker to be a lower or equal amperage than all your wires or switches and outlets and that kind of thing. So, but yeah, we're going to get up in here and pull this out. Of course, when you muck with electricity, you want to make sure that your circuit's turned off before you get up in there. I know this is still on. I want to show you how you test and verify that it's turned off before you go messing with it. So I'm just going to pull this out a little bit and I'll show you that tester here. I need a bigger Phillips head. Slipping. Okay, I'm going to see where that flat. Just be careful if it is on that you're not touching back there on the poles or wiring or nothing on the back side. You should be all right. So yeah, if you don't know which breaker is for this switch, you know, and if you're able to turn the light on and you know your bulb ain't burned out, you can have it on and get somebody to holler down to you as you switch off the breakers one by one that the light turns off. That's a good bet that, of course, that's your breaker, and you should be good. But probably a better way to do it is to get a multimeter or something like that and just test back here and make sure there's no juice flowing. So we're going to use this here. So obviously, you know, I got juice coming to that pole. So I'm going to run down, turn that off. We should be able to come up and repeat this test here and see that we ain't got any more juice running to it. Okay, well, I got that breaker turned off. So got my tester job back on here, and we shouldn't get any more beeps now. So that should tell us for sure that we ain't got any juice flowing here to these wire tips. So yeah, looking good. So another thing to think about when you're buying your replacement switch is, other than the color, of course, and your amperage, make sure that you don't have like a three-way switch. Like if you have two switches controlling the same light for off and on based on a hallway or whatever the case, those switches can be different for the three-way ones. I think these are what you call single pole, meaning this switch here just controls one light and nothing else in there. Other than that, so here's that white one we're not going to use. I don't know if you notice, it doesn't have little crimping plates that you put your wire in there and and then it crunches down on it. So literally you're just wrapping a wire around that screw. You can also pressure fit them through these holes on the back there, but I don't really like doing that because I don't think screwing the screw actually cramps down on it. So we're not going to be using this one. This one's probably cheaper, and like I said, it doesn't hold on to the wires as well. So the replacement we're doing here, on the other hand, has these, you know, metal plates that you stick the wires under, and as you screw down your screw, it's going to crunch down on it real good, hold it in place. I think this one also has those pressure fit ones where you stick it in there. We're not going to use those either in this case. So sometimes these kind where you can push it into the hole on the back, the screw will actually have a plate inside there that'll crunch down on it, and that's fine, but that's not the case here. I just like using it to where I can see that we have something mechanical screw crunching down on it to hold it in place. I feel like that's a lot more secure. So all right, let's get this one off of here. You know, might want to take a picture so you know which wires are going to what before you get started, in case they get all mixed up. This one's a little odd because there are white wires back in there, but they ain't being used. It's just these two black ones. You should be able to do all this with just a screwdriver, but you may want to get some pliers as well in case you need to straighten out the end of your wires or curve them depending on which switch you're putting in. You also may need a wire stripper if these are damaged or really bent up, and you need to kind of start over and strip out a new piece of wire at the end of it. What's going on here? This is like stuck. There we go. All right. Yeah, so this one here has got the, where you can come in from the back sort of like, but then that metal plate clamps down on them. So yeah, it's weird. It doesn't stay switched. So all right, let's get the new one up in there now. Garbage. And you know, I'm not an electrician, but I always wire up the ground first over here. So I'm gonna actually curve that a little bit on the little ground wire so it can loop around there, and we'll tighten that down. Just a little bit, just so it hooks on there a little. There we go. All right. I don't know that it matters which one of these you do first. I mean, probably, but I think these look okay. Like I said, I don't see any breakage in the copper or anything like that, so I think we'll just try to reuse them and jam her in there. Now, these might be a little bit too long, as you can see. I think it's okay. It's right on the plastic there, and I do have a plastic box, not a metal box. So I think that's all right, but you may also want to shorten these up depending how long they are for your new switch. Just by trimming a little off of there, you know. Okay, give it a little tug, make sure she's in there tight. And we'll do the same on these two, one on either side of the screw in this case. Hopefully you can see that from your vantage. There we go. Nice and snug. Check them both. Not going anywhere. All right, so I think what I'll do is go ahead and screw these into the box, and then we'll run down and flip the breaker and test her out. Before I do that though, maybe this isn't such a big deal when you got a plastic box, but excuse me, once you stuff this back in here, you know, your bare ground wire may try to come over here and touch those. So I like to put just some electrical tape on there to discourage any kind of shorting out or arcing that might happen if you got two different metal touching each other. But that's why I always try to keep the different wires to different corners of the box. I think that's some kind of electrical code actually, but that's why my white ones are tucked all the way at the top in there. You don't gotta get too crazy with this. Again, it's just a little extra insurance that you know nothing's gonna be rubbing around in there and causing a spark or something. Probably took too much there actually. There we go, ain't that pretty? All right, just kind of squish around there. Again, isolating them wires. So we should have no other metal on metal glancing up against here as we push it back. Or like if your screw would happen to touch it or something like that. Just in case, you know. All right, squish it back. Get my screwdriver. Now, all right. And it's normal to feel some resistance from the wires back there, but if you feel like it's not pushing back at all, you might back off and see what's contacting back there. In fact, I think I might want to do that because we're okay. Drywall squeaking. Okay. Good. You know, and just make sure no children run around sticking their fingers back in there while you're messing with it. But I think I'll go down, flip the breaker, and we'll come up and see if she works. All right. Let's go. You stay here. All right. Well, I'm back. Moment of truth here. Let's go ahead and press this button. Hey, we're in business. All right, cool. So now we'll just get this all buttoned up. And we should be all set. I don't think there's a way to put up or down on this. Hope not. I guess maybe it depends how the cover latches onto it, but okay. Like I said, probably put that on bottom so you can't see it on the top, assuming you're taller than the plate. And I think, like I said, usually you put one side in and then pressure fit the top. There we go. Like I said, if you're not videotaping, it should be like a 5 or 10 minute job if you have all the parts and everything you need. Don't be afraid to take pictures of everything you got going on in there and take that with you to the hardware store and tell them your life story, and they'll point you in the right direction for which kind of replacement switch you should buy. And those could be anywhere from like $3 to $20, depending on, you know, what kind of amperage and industrial versus residential. I don't know, but I think that'll about do it. So check us out next time.